Hey folks, Jeff Tito here with the Buckeye Blitz. Follow me on Twitter @ThitHappens. Would love to hear from you. Listen, like, subscribe, share with your friends, all that stuff. It would be greatly appreciated. Ohio State coming off a 42-3 win over Minnesota and homecoming on Saturday. And a very methodical win for Ohio State. Carnell Tate had a huge game, like 9 for 185 and a touchdown there. Jeremiah got his game going as well. And now Ohio State has given up a total of 25 points in 5 games. The Texas win does not look as impressive as it did back on August 30th. Texas now has got 2 losses, losing to Ohio State, obviously, and then also now losing most recently in Florida against a very bad Florida Gators team. So the Texas win does not look as great. The Washington win, Ohio State won that game at Washington and out there in Seattle. But now that Washington fell behind 20-0 to Maryland and had to rally to win that one, maybe a little shine off that one as well. But 25 points in 5 games is still 25 points in 5 games at the college level. Teams, if you sometimes have your second, third string in, fourth string in some cases, you might see a team get a fluke touchdown. That's not happening with this team. No one's scoring on this defense so far. 5 points a game is really a great number in today's college game, where it's easier to score now than probably it's ever been. So that's impressive right there. Matt Patricia has done a tremendous job with this defense as far as getting them ready to play, and he's not doing the same thing every game. He's not doing, hey, this is our defense, and we're going to stick with this all. No, he's mixing things up as the game goes on. He is making it very difficult for other teams to have success against Ohio State. Certainly it helps. It certainly helps that Ohio State's got more talent than the other side of the ball. Almost every game so far this year, but for the most part, every game Ohio State plays, their offense will be better than their defense. Their defense will be better than the other team's offense. It's the way it's going to be. So that helps. But also Patricia scheming, schematically what he's doing. It's artwork. It really is. The things he's doing to disguise coverages and totally frustrating other offenses. It's really something to watch. Look at all the talent Ohio State lost off last year's national championship winning team. All the talent they lost, all the guys they had to replace. So you know what? This team, this defense is better. Not individually. Not individual talent. This defense, though, as a whole, is better. Minnesota, Drake Lindsey completed 15 of 26 passes for 94 yards. Completed 15 passes on 26 attempts, 94 yards. That's 3.6 yards per attempt. They rushed 25 times for 68 yards. The defense for Ohio State. And look, Minnesota's not a good team. I'm not saying they're a great team at all. They came into the game 3-1. But for Ohio State to dominate that team the way they did is incredible. They've got Illinois coming up this week on the road. It's a noon kick for the Buckeyes. We'll see how that one fares. But won't you be shocked if Ohio State gives up double-digit points in a game anytime in the near future? I know I would be. I'd be shocked if Ohio State gives up double-digit points in a game. Penn State, maybe, I guess. I don't know. By and large, this team is just dominating. On the offensive side of the ball, Julian Sayin, 23 out of 27, 326 yards, 3 touchdown passes, no picks. QBR of 97.4. Keenholz got in the game. Lincoln Keenholz completed 1 pass for 15 yards. Bo Jackson, 13 carries, 63 yards and a touchdown. Keenholz found the end zone. CJ Donalds found the end zone. I mentioned Carnell Tate, 9 for 183 and a touchdown. Jeremiah Smith, 7 for 67 and 2 scores. Julian Sayin is getting better and more comfortable every single week, completing 80% of his passes this year. Think about that. 80% of his passes, a first-year starter. Looks fantastic, and like I said, every week he gets better. What's interesting about this Ohio State team, what they're doing is they haven't really fully opened up the offense, it seems like to me. And that's been a big complaint among Buckeye fans, that Ohio State is playing it conservatively so far this year and not really opening things up and taking advantage of the full arsenal of weapons they have. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the way they're doing this. There's no reason to show everything you're going to show against Minnesota. or next week against Illinois or against Wisconsin, even against Penn State. You can hold back a lot of that and just sprinkle in things here and there. But this Ohio State offense, though, I'm telling you, Julian Sayin is going to just keep getting better. And this offense will just keep getting more comfortable. The offensive line's playing great. The running game, Bo Jackson is electric. I know, very pedestrian, 13 carries, 63 yards. I talked to Vince Workman earlier today, former Buckeye great running back who then played in the NFL. And he said that, and this is the same thing, I didn't tell Vince this ahead of time, but one of the things he said is one of the things I used to say about Maurice Clarett when Clarett first came into college football his freshman year. And I'm not comparing Bo Jackson to Maurice Clarett. I'm not doing that at all. I'm just telling you, one of the things that always impressed me about Clarett when he first came onto the scene at Ohio State was he fell forward. You didn't see Clarett get knocked backwards very often. And so when he fell, when he was getting tackled, he always make sure I'm using the word correctly, he often fell forward. And that's a huge difference. If you can fall forward, that's a huge, huge difference. I see that same thing with Bo Jackson. So, Ohio State, one of the things that I loved about, and Ryan Day to me, now that he's got the national championship in his pocket, and he's got a little more swagger maybe to it. And he has said this year, because look, we just saw Penn State get upset by a winless UCLA team, a game that Penn State never should have lost. Penn State lost that one. Texas lost to an inferior Florida team. And Ohio State's avoided pitfalls like that this season. I know the Michigan thing. I get it. I know last year's Oregon game. I get it. But Ryan Day has said one of the things, the keys to not being upset and not being caught in a trap game is Ohio State goes at this every week. They're not playing the opponent. Their opponent is Ohio State. They're playing themselves. And they're trying to get better amongst themselves. They are trying to be better than they were the previous game. What they do in practice, if you look at this Ohio State, it makes perfect sense. The Buckeyes defense, the best offense Ohio State's defense will face this year is probably Ohio State's. Great, if they play Oregon or something like that, it might be a little, but by and large though, the Ohio State defense, their biggest challenge this whole season will be the offense and vice versa. The toughest defense the Ohio State offense is going to play all year is in practice with the Ohio State defense. That is a huge advantage, and it's cyclical. It is never ending. It's a constant thing where Ohio State gets the best players, they practice against the best players, they beat the teams that are not as good as the players they have on their team, and then they get the best players again, practice. It's just a cycle like that. That's what Ryan Day's got with this team. Ryan Day came out after the game against Minnesota, and he said, look, yeah, we got the win. But two things. One, Bo Jackson, one play, tried to stretch the ball across, and he said in other games, that could be a fumble, and that may cost us a game. So we can't have that. Talked about Lincoln Keenholz when he came into the game. Lincoln Keenholz at one point came in on a third down play. It was 3rd and 2, and had the ball. And instead of finding the right gap, he went the wrong way. They lost yards. Ended up having, I think they punted that. But nonetheless, it was a busted play, though. And it was something where Ryan Day says plays like that could cost us a game. It didn't this time. I'm paraphrasing this part. We won 42-3, but it could happen. That stuff's not acceptable. He wants perfection. He wants an elite team again this year. He wants another natty. And this Ohio State team's trending in the right way. Keep watching this defense. Keep enjoying this defense. This defense is so much fun to watch. They have so many players on this defense. Offensively, Julian Sayin's getting better. Bo Jackson is getting better. The offensive line, the more they play together, more cohesiveness. They've got the game against Illinois this week. And Illinois recently was a top 10 team before getting beat blown out by Indiana. Illinois right now is a 15.5-point underdog to Ohio State. Keep an eye on that. I think Ohio State, and you start looking at it, and I'm not saying it's, sure money, but Ohio State, what do they score? Do they score at the minimum, say 27 points? That means that Illinois, if you think they're going to cover, they're going to have to score 15. Or I'm sorry, 15, 12 to cover. 15.5, 12. Do you think Illinois can score 12 against Ohio State? Because I don't. And I do think Ohio State will score more than 27. Even I think Ohio State scores, look, they beat Minnesota 42-3. They were a 23.5 point favorite. If Ohio State ends up scoring 34 points, do you think Illinois scores enough to cover a 15.5 point spread? I don't. That's it for today's Buckeye Blitz. Thanks for tuning in. Follow me on Twitter @ThatHappens. Download the app, FanStream Sports app, free for Apple and Android users. Go check it out. We're powered by DSP Media. Lots of great content all the time. Tim May and Clay Hall do a great podcast. I do one with Jimmy Bell. We have Vince Workman on this week. Chad Rink does his great stuff with FanStream Sports Ohio with gambling. We do fantasy football stuff. Always new content being added. Go check us out. This has been Tito with the Buckeye Blitz.